Look at this, a wooden pallet. It costs about $30 to make. You cannot buy it. You cannot buy it new. You cannot buy it used. If you find one behind a supermarket and take it home, you have not bought it either. You have stolen it. And a company most people have never heard of can take you to court to get it back. Because this $30 piece of wood is never sold. Not once, not ever. Instead, it is rented. Again and again and again for up to 15 years. And by the time it finally breaks, it has earned its owner many times what it cost to build. Now multiply that by 347 million. That is how many of these the same company controls. In 60 countries, under almost everything you will buy this week. The cereal, the water, the medicine, the bag of rice. Your entire life sits on top of their wood, and you have never once thought about who put it there. Last year, this quiet pile of timber generated $6.5 billion, and it is one of the most profitable ideas in the history of business. So how does a piece of wood you are not allowed to own become a $6 billion empire? It starts with an army walking away. "1945, the Second World War is ending, and the United States Army is sitting on a logistics weapon nobody talks about. The wooden pallet. It sounds boring. It changed warfare. One man with a forklift and a pallet could move in minutes what used to take a team of soldiers hours. The Allies outsupplied the enemy partly because they could move boxes faster than anyone had ever moved them before. But now the war is over. The Americans are going home, and shipping millions of pallets back across the Pacific costs more than the wood is worth. So they abandoned them. Millions of pallets, stranded at military bases across Australia. Most countries would have used them for firewood. Australia had a stranger idea. In 1946, the government swept all that leftover equipment into one national pool. Around 60,000 pallets and 1,000 pieces of machinery, cranes and forklifts. Instead of every business buying its own pallets, they would share one giant fleet and rent what they needed. They called it the Commonwealth Handling Equipment Pool. CHEP. It was the first system of its kind anywhere in the world, and for 12 years it belonged to the state. Then in 1958, the government sold it, and the buyer almost missed the gold sitting in front of them. The buyer was Brambles, a Sydney company founded back in 1875, and here is the part nobody remembers. Brambles did not want the pallets. They wanted the cranes and forklifts in the deal. The pallets were a throw-in, a pile of cheap wood nobody thought twice about. That throw-in became one of the most valuable rental businesses on the planet, because hidden inside it was a trick that turns $30 into a money machine. Here is the trick, and once you see it, you cannot unsee it. A normal business sells you something once. One sale, one payment. Done. CHEP refuses to sell. A food company rents a stack of blue pallets, loads them with product, ships them to a supermarket. The supermarket unloads them. Then CHEP collects the empties, inspects every one, repairs the broken ones, and rents them straight back out. The same pallet. Over and over. For up to 15 years. That $30 pallet might rent for just a few dollars a week. Cheap, right? Now run the numbers. A few dollars a week, every week, for 15 years, on hundreds of millions of pallets at once. It is not a product, it is a toll booth. And CHEP owns the road under global trade. Scale it up and the numbers stop making sense. 347 million pallets, crates, and containers? 60 countries. More than 750 repair centers. 13,000 employees, all to keep one loop of wood spinning. Last financial year, that loop pulled in $6.5 billion in revenue and over $1.3 billion in profit. More than half of it from the Americas alone. The giant brands you actually recognize? They are just tenants, renting the floor their own products stand on. But a machine built on getting your wood back has one nightmare. What happens when the wood does not come back? The entire empire depends on one fragile rule. the pallets must return. When one vanishes, CHEP does not just lose a few dollars of rent, it loses the whole asset. And CHEP plans for roughly 1 in 10 of its pallets to disappear or die every single year. By its own estimate, around 1 million CHEP pallets slip into a black market each year. Stolen, hoarded, quietly never returned. And it gets uglier. Organized crime worked out that a blue pallet is worth real money. Gangs grind stolen pallets and crates into plastic pellets and sell them overseas, no questions asked. In Europe alone, one study counted 14 million pallets gone missing, around 140 million pounds of loss. In Northern Ireland, a single bonfire reportedly swallowed 17,000 pallets in one night. So CHEP fights for its wood like few companies on Earth. It runs an asset recovery team whose entire job is hunting down lost pallets. A separate asset protection team. And because the pallets are only ever leased, never sold, anyone caught holding them without a contract can be dragged into court. Real cases in Texas and New Jersey fought over piles of wood. In Arizona, mishandling marked pallets can cost you up to $30,000 in fines. A multinational company suing people over a single wooden pallet. That is not madness. That is the math of the model. Every lost pallet is a hole in the engine, and for decades those holes leaked a fortune. So CHEP did something the soldiers of 1945 could never have dreamed. They gave the wood a brain. CHEP started building trackers into the pallets. Serial codes, smart sensors, a live map of millions of wooden assets crawling across the planet in real time. They are spending tens of millions of dollars to do it. And the payoff was brutal in the best way. In a single recent year, by tightening its grip on lost pallets, CHEP cut uncompensated losses by 45%. That one move dropped $86 million straight back onto its books and clawed back around 25 million pallets that would otherwise have vanished. $86 million recovered from wood that used to just wander off and never come home. This is the reframe. That blue platform under your groceries is not humble timber. It is a tracked, owned, rented, lawyered-up financial instrument, spinning billions of dollars in silent circles, year after year, while you never once look down. The most boring object in the building turned out to be one of the smartest businesses ever built. Same wood, rented again and again, for decades, cheap to make, impossible to own, and worth more every time it moves. And here's the one thing worth keeping. The biggest empires are almost never the loud brands fighting for your attention. They are the invisible machines underneath, owning the floor, the road, the platform, while everyone stares at the shelf. You will see them now. Behind the store, on the back of the truck, under everything you own, blue, tracked, and not yours. But the pallet is only the floor. Next time, we go one level up to the hidden company that controls the boxes, the crates, and the cold chain, keeping your food alive. You have never heard their name either. Subscribe and keep looking down. There is an entire invisible world holding yours up. And remember where this started. A pile of military junk nobody wanted, left to rot at the end of a war. A throw in a buyer almost ignored. Today it moves the food, the medicine, and the goods of 60 nations, and you walked past it your whole life without knowing its name. That is the real lesson of CHEP. The thing holding the world up is almost never the thing you are looking at.